Yeah, I've been talking to myself for a minute and a half. Fortunately, though, Albin is back, and he informed me of this. And I was just saying, "Welcome to 2026. 5 weeks in, I've not been well, and there's been a lot going on that has interfered with work of late. But I am here now, partially motivated, and you can get to see what I'm working on. We can discuss a little bit about the near term and long term this year. And more than anything, it's good to see you guys again. It's been a while since I've done some shout outs to the chat. Can see we've got John is here. Convinced that I am the real Ben and that he did not fabricate me, which I can neither confirm nor deny. Kathy is here. Father Tanis is here. Solo Spirit, Shergel, Sam. Who else we got? Ambran Mayu. So yeah, good to see you guys. We did do a bit of a shout out on the web page. Sorry, not the web page. On the Discord. Let me just isolate this so you can see what I'm working on. I am currently calling this drone the Poltergeist. And I can tell you that the mechanics of it were a bastard. So I'm probably about half a day away from printing. Currently splitting up meshes into color sections. I thought today we might go over and discuss a little bit about how I prepare color stuff. Things have changed drastically since the end of last year. We're using some nice, tidy scripts to help with that. Which we're not. I'm not a coder, but this is one of what I think is the proper use of an AI to sort of tell it what you need and work with it until you can get something that does work. So I'm not creating something artificial. I'm just creating some tools to help improve quality control pretty easily, and for me to, like, for example, spot mesh issues, which I might demonstrate shortly. So this is strongly inspired by a very obscure macros design from one of the I think it's NEC PC Japanese games from the late 90s. Maybe it was Skull Squadron or something like that. PC 98, I think maybe it's called too. And it is in some of the Kawamori art books, but it's this sort of four-armed ghost 2 QFI 96 or 86, something like that, I think. Ghost 2 Phantom. And I really like the design, and I've been a fan for a while. But back in the day, I actually got my 3D modeling wings, so to speak, through modding Homeworld with a macros mod. And we really didn't have high resolution images of the particular ship in question, but it had these four arms, and I couldn't see how this four-arm thing could possibly land. It was a space fighter. And I came up with, an explanation for how it works. And quite simply, let me change back to tools. We want this set to object. That the arms would actually swing some 30 degrees. So it would actually, compact down into this sort of version, and I guess you would also rotate the barrels back straight again as well. So if you imagine all four arms going like that, I don't think we'll get to landing gears. This was mechanically way more complicated than I thought, but I do have some ideas for the sort of like Friends of Benjamin and pack. Oh, sorry, to make it clear, this is the Tribe's release for February. It's 6 days late at this point in time. Albin is actually working on some new craft himself. We'll probably take a look at that in the coming weeks for a bit of a later release for Tribes. so I can sort of move on to things. But my idea is sort of like to have the base version for the vehicle level, and then the Friends of Benjamin in a sort of like expansion pack where certain areas of this, like I've kind of built the arms in a modular way, so we could have some alternative pieces here with like some RCS built in, or potentially like a proper cockpit here, or some inbuilt guns to bring it more in line with the Phantom.
That panel with holes in it looks really nice.
Yes, it was a pain in the arse to make, which is what these sort of star things are about.
You got a question, by the way?
Oh, I'm not used to having someone reading the questions for me anymore.
What is Tribes from John Games?
Oh, come on, John. Tribes is, but if you've heard of Patreon, Tribes is basically the same thing, only it has the distribution built in. So our Tribe is a monthly sub to support us. We put out vehicles and tiles and some other goodies on a monthly basis. And you can find that on myminifactory.com. There's actually a link in the description below. And if your mouse pointer happens to bump into the like or subscribe buttons along the way, well, hey, that's great for me. The other thing to point out is that it is February, so we will be having a huge sale on the 22nd of February, what we have called for the last 3 years Second Dynasty Day. And this year, there is a custom version of the Beta Centauri, using hammerhead modification made by Shergel and sort of made printable. Well, I mean, it was printable already by Shergel, but like refined a bit by John. That is going to be our sort of like, if you put the full discount in, you can grab the whole ship for like $22.22 is the idea. So we usually do a ship at that price. It's usually a very large ship, and in this case, the hammerhead is very large. Indeed, it's, I think the full scale version at 28mm is about 3 feet, so 90 centimeters long. So it has an extended neck, and yeah, it looks great, and an extra landing gear too to stabilize it a bit more. So that is the idea moving forward, and of course, we're going to have a store-wide 50% off. I think the whole month for Tribers we're doing 50% off, and that applies to anything on the store. But not Frontiers or Tribe subscriptions themselves. There's already a pretty decent discount if you go for a yearly sub. But yeah, check it out with the link below. And we'll be talking more about the sale in the coming days. I believe My Mini Factory is also going to have another sale going on at a similar time. There's some big news on the horizon, which is hush hush, but pretty big news there. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, and let's get back into things. And just to warn you guys, today is probably going to be a shorter session. Yeah, I have had some very productive days. I think a good part of that is the fact that Albin's in here and I feel accountable now. Yeah, I've just been able to change my focus a little bit. So I am starting to feel a little bit better and a little bit more focused. And yes, I really am digging this design at the moment. It has had some serious challenges, especially the mechanics of the arm. I still need to figure out how to plug in the back of the arm. If I isolate the arm here, you can kind of see the hinge mechanism is like similar to the ones we used on the engines for the is it the Mastodon? Mm-hmm. Or one of the star lifters in any case. So it is slightly thinner, but the same sort of mechanism. And then there's a whole, side plates that hook in and things. So the arm itself, I feel confident it's stable. And again, like this piece and this piece are separate. The missiles will just force push in. It kind of tapers at the end. So I think if you just push them in hard enough, the missiles will stay put. Of course, this is going to be color, like everything we're doing lately. But yeah, I still need to figure out a way to sort of like, this is the hinge. It's only meant to hinge 30 degrees, and this should be quite tough. Otherwise, yeah, I like the way the design's going. Size-wise, let me see, I can maybe turn on the Starfire. It is quite large. Let's see, the Starfire L is on there, so where is the Starfire Mark II? There we go. So if you can kind of compare... Whoops. I'm doing all the wrong things.
It's really big.
Yes, it is quite big. I mean, the thing is, the other thing is, many of the starfighters are quite small.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes.
Let's see, this is out of place. Let's see if this will work. Yes.
That's like a boss battle.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of considered all the different ways that we could do the hinges, and ultimately I just came down to these arms are going to be fairly heavy, so we wanted something robust. But yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. This is like a smaller version of one of the sort of like capital ship turrets. It's a standard turret, but I think the version of this that we have out is a little bit larger than this. I think I scaled it down to about 80% if I'm not mistaken.
So that's a turret fit?
Yeah, that you can fit any turret under there.
Oh.
So the turret ring is there with some print improvements, and then I'm sort of like at the stage where I'm cutting this up for let's just turn off the Starfire again and all of this other nonsense. Yeah, so I'm just cutting it up for printability at the moment. The sort of lighter gray areas, these are all like going to be different color components. But for the moment, I'm just going to save this, and I'm actually going to switch projects. And so I'm going to go recent projects, and I'm going to switch over to GridForge, and then I'm going to go and in the background load up Expendable. And in the meantime, I'm going to look in the chat and see what you guys are saying. Oh yeah, Blast has got a campaign going on at the moment, guys. We should check that out, actually. I just need to find the link because I was not so clever about that. I should have thought of this earlier.
Maybe I can have a look.
Well, it's more about like getting the custom one, and I know my Discord is. Oh, I know. I can switch to my close-up camera so you can't see what's going on my desktop, and I can move my Discord over. Then I can look at the link that Blasted sent me a while back. Was it private? Yes, here we go. So I can drop this into the chat and we'll look at it together. So let's go here and there and there. And you guys get this link. And I will switch over. Let's see. Just heard Hummus screaming, so I don't know what that's all about, but let's see. We'll move back to the scene. So yeah, let's just check this out before we go on to the other project, because I think Blasted could really use some help getting this over the edge. Not far off the goal, about 500 Canadian dollars more. So I reckon we can do that. It's only about 3,200 crowns. So I haven't looked at the video or anything yet, but the cool thing about this is it's GridForge. So that's our, the system John pioneered and that we use standard now for our floor and wall tiles, at least for scenery and often for starships. It's hot swap, and you can see the clever use of color printing here. Blasted, I'm not sure if you've got an AMS or if you're doing that manually. Let me know. In the chat, I guess. And but the really cool thing also, that's one of our ships there, and I think some of our miniatures. No, those are Star Wars miniatures. I recognize them. I have some of those myself. I was just like, oh, they look familiar.
It looks really good. It makes me think of like a good version of the Lego sceneries, you know?
A good version of Lego scenery, yeah. I'm just going to repeat things because I really don't think my mic's picking you up too well there.
No.
I really like the transparent, the sort of like in animation, or rather in 3D. We have this technique called subsurface scattering, which sort of like emulates, you know, if you hold up a light against your hand and you can sort of see through a little bit, that sort of glow, that's what subsurface scattering is. Kind of makes sense when you use an illustration like that. So it's in regards to lighting. And when you use these sort of thin materials, like I think you can see it at the top, like this is a real photograph in the background of just, you know, some light beams going through the forest. So there's some great options for real jungles, for alien looking jungles. I thought some of these were alien plants, but apparently they're pretty much all based on real plants. And yeah, it would be really great to get into the stretch goals to get some new techniques, because yeah, it's just a pretty I like this. This is something I feel like I could use myself. The potted plants in particular, you can test print this.
For home, if you scale it up, maybe.
I don't know if you should do it at home, but so I feel like it's good for both sci-fi and for fantasy. I can imagine you could get even more color and variety just by adding in a few different variants of green from different manufacturers. Like this is just like the bare basics of what you can do with it. So yes, it's apparently all set up so you can do it manually. So that's kind of like what I felt like. It feels like it's two-tone, where you just switch the files over and switch out the filaments in case you don't have a printer. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else we've got coming in this campaign. So if you don't mind checking it out, I reckon it's a pretty good way to throw a little bit of money blast its way and make sure we get this funded before the time runs out. I think there's still 11 days to go, so hopefully if nothing else, heart this campaign and see if you can't help support a buddy. Anyway, again, the link is in the chat. Put it there a second time. And then let's get back to the main show. Well, actually, I was going to talk to the audience a little bit, but I see we've got even more people on at the moment, so it's nice to see some familiar names and faces and chat with you guys again. To be honest, I've just not been in the headspace for running streams on Fridays, and one of the themes for 2026 for me is to slow down a little bit. So there'll probably be a little bit more focus on tribes, and I still have some plans for the Traveller license this year using GridForge and making some pretty simplistic deck plans, but modular. But in general, there will be more focus on tribes this year, mostly because, to be perfectly honest, at the moment, that is our reliable, steady form of income. Kickstarter last year, I think, was probably one of the worst years we've ever had. And I really don't think it's because we don't have a good product. I think it's just a case of, I know 65% of you guys are in the US right now. Feels like things are a little bit volatile market-wise. People don't have necessarily the money to spend on model spaceships. And, honestly, a good chunk of our audience is actually supporting us on tribes instead. So it kind of makes sense to build on that. And we've actually, I was just talking to my manufacturer yesterday, and apparently we're in the top 10 of tribes for retention. And actually, I think we've got even higher for retention, just because, people don't drop off every month. They tend to like to support us. Anyway, what I've loaded in here is the this is from Exoplanet Colony, the Kickstarter we ran at the end of last year, and there are a few new additions in here because as this was delayed, look, I really enjoyed working on Exoplanet Colony. I wanted to do more. In some ways, it was good that the campaign didn't do better at the time because health-wise, I don't think it was in the best place to sort of like stress over the campaign. So it was good in that way. But I had more in me, more design ideas, and a part of this has come out with there's I've been in ill health, and I haven't done as many deliveries as I'd have hoped. Really been burning the candle at both ends, and the worst thing is like it's hard to get back into the productive zone. I don't want to go into all of that today. But this furniture, for example, did not exist. This is new stuff I've done in preparation for the furniture pack for this. The floors, I think we already had released previously. I want to say, but actually maybe not. I need to look into that some more. We've done so many things now, I kind of get confused myself. I know some of the floors were delivered with the boardroom, but I kind of felt like, there's more furniture that was needed in here. I've started doing, some sofas in a similar style. I've got this little chest of drawers that I'll probably extrapolate on and, make some additional variants, maybe some filing cabinets. I'd really like to put like a dot matrix printer on top of that to go along with the other anachronistic items. And it seems I feel like the CEO kind of needs their own sort of special kind of chair. It's a shame these print the way that they do, because I kind of want to make like almost the imperial chairs with the split in the middle. They're really kind of cool. But yeah, I just wanted to get into that, and then the other thing that's holding things up is towards the end of the year, John pointed out that, a lot of the 3MFs we were exporting had some technical issues. The versions that we were importing into Bamboo Slicer, for example, Orca Slicer, did not have all the information they were supposed to have. There was this weird artifacting going on where like there seemed to be a double mesh, and it turned out it's more to do with like how our script exported it from Maya, but also the condition of the meshes. So I have developed a bunch of tools which analyze meshes, and if I turn on, actually it might not be in other releases, I think it's if I just scroll down to the bottom here, I should be able to show you guys, yes, the executive suite section. So all of these parts for the executive suite, whoops, I guess they've been moved here for rendering. So it's all in a clump at the moment, I'm sorry. But when I did this, each and every part I had to run through, and when you iterate objects but they have flaws, it means you have to go back and fix everyone. So it's a case of like moving forward, we can use these tools as we go to be as effective as possible when we export. And what I mean by that is the product is ready for color printing. The product can be read from the get-go from any slicer. It has the correct headers that we're missing. It has... it doesn't need to be manually fixed, and you should be able to paint every surface straight away, which was one of the issues we were finding. And it's just a quality control thing. We're ensuring that every single part now, when it gets exported, has to go through these tools which verify that there are no issues with it. So when we are actually importing into Orca Slicer, the models are absolutely perfect and ready to rig up. And we just create, samplers based on our 3MFs, and then once the sampler is finished, and what I mean by sampler is one example of every single model. I can actually show you guys if I load up Orca Slicer. So if I load up, for example, the executive suite that we put out last time, actually this is the end version that you guys get, but there's even a slightly larger version. I think it's this one, which is like, this is where I just dump the files for the collection into here, and you can kind of see too a big difference compared to other scenes we've had is on the left here. You can see we have a bunch of different materials, and that is because rather than having just 3 or 4, because we've got AMS Light, which only has up to 4 colors at a time, I've just put them all in the scene because the idea would be rather than grabbing trying to print these as is. That's not the intention. The intention would actually be that you add a new plate, and then you just drag over or copy over the items you want to work on. And then as for colors and that, it's not until you're slicing it, right, and see how that slices perfectly there. You go to print plate, and then once you choose a printer, so we haven't we just map the filaments here to the correct ones. At the moment, the machine that I was actually using doesn't have any filaments assigned to it, so you can kind of see here that it realized that Bifrost there has 3 different materials. So you would just swap them around until it works, and you could also, in the model instead, go in, look at the object list for this plate, and manually change the color to what you wanted, right? So that lets you guys customize a lot more, and it also means that we've done most of the work for you. And then if you really, really wanted to, you could grab the painter, and say you want to just draw some blobs on there. You can actually paint on it however you like, and it all works, which it seems like a simple thing, but color is definitely going to be a focus next year and going forward. I think that'll be one of our unique selling points, doing a color FDM. Of course, you don't have to print in color. You can use these 3MFs as they are, and we also just use the 3MFs as a basis to export STLs from. So rather than making STLs now, we're making 3MFs, importing those into a build plate sampler, and then once everything's done, and all the sections you can see on the left here, that it's sort of named for the different areas. Sorry, that's not going to turn up if we've got the paint tool on. But you can see it selecting the different areas: floor, panels, upper, lower, grates, all these different areas of the model should be pretty obviously named, and just let you guys customize even more. At least that's the idea behind it. So I just wanted to show that off, and that whilst the Exoplanet stuff is running late, there will be some bonus items. I believe we also let's see that. Here we go. This is our library. So for example, wait, what's going on here? Oh right, yeah, Lisa Lott made the ACF Fleet stuff public, which is why it's turning up here. So all of these items now should be downloadable. All of the manuals are done. Finally, the only thing we're possibly missing, we realized, is we will still need to do instructions for the sort of cargo pod invader craft that Alban designed. But otherwise, everything is sort of ready to go. Finally, sorry, John, for how complicated that was. So yeah, we've been quite active behind the scenes, but we never fully decided exactly how we would be exporting some of these designs. And one of the extra designs that I put out was this collection of props for the garage. So, I mean, some of the items we have shown, and I tend to say, like, if we show something, we want to make it available. But I did more shelving variants, more locker variants, and put a considerable amount of time into, customizing these items. They're quite small, but you can go in and change all the colors on them, and some toolboxes and little electronic devices and the like, with a bunch of set dressing. So there's still plenty to do, and we'll be doing the same here. Like, these plants were never explicitly released, but we'll have a couple of potted plant variants there. Although now you could actually just use some plants if you're going back Blasted's campaign. What does Autodesk... I mean, that is what Autodesk does, though. Take something good, add it into the bloated software and make it worth... Well, yes, they do. How much is the Snapmaker? Oh, right, it's a question for Clive. Sorry, guys. Well, I mean, I'm pretty much on brand, being a bit scatterbrained, aren't I? So yeah, I hope one day to be able to return to this, because honestly, the executive suite, I had this idea of having like the whole, like a downstairs executive bedroom, sort of like apartment underneath. I wanted to turn this sort of walled off area into like a bathroom. Like I just got I was watching RoboCop again and just remembering the scene where the project lead for RoboCop is bad mouthing his boss in the toilets, and they have this confrontation in the bathroom, and I may yet do that with some of the office furniture. So it used to just be these desks and computers, the front desk. I think we did this back wall with like a logo too. At least that's how we printed it. So, oh, I'm sorry. There are a couple of different variants to be done, but I kind of feel like as I go, I find a little bit more creative energy, and I'll probably start spitting some of these things out. A lot of these floor tiles need variants done, so they'll be coming soon too. And then we get into the stretch goals, and there are a considerable number of stretch goals anyway to be released. If I turn off the executive suite there and turn on these stretch goals here, and then if I actually find the group that these are hidden in, there we go. There are quite a considerable amount. So if I unhide these, a lot of them are all in the same spot because this is where I render from. But yeah, there's a bunch of different lower corridors. Many of these models already exist. It's just I need to put them through this new process. It is a little bit tedious. So it's going to take me until at least the end of the month to get that out. So I'm quite relieved that Albin will be covering some of the vehicles for next month on the tribes. Yeah, honestly, guys, I feel like I'm going to have to end things pretty soon. But if you guys have any direct questions or comments that you want to make now, I'll just stick around for 5 minutes or so and see if there's anything particular you guys want to know about. Let's see. Blasted says, as a creator, I feel that I don't just generate my waste, but the waste of everyone who prints my stuff. So I have to make it as less wasteful as possible. I don't know. Like, I kind of put that on myself, but when you look at the way that mass production normally works, I think already by using a 3D printer, there's a whole heap less waste than there would otherwise be. And, yeah, I don't know. There's only so much you can put on yourself. At the end of the day, I can't force someone to use PLA instead of ABS, right? PLA is much better for the environment than ABS is, but it's up to the end consumer. Let's see. Clive says, if you're printing lots of mixed color files, it's definitely worth getting one. The purge waste is drastically reduced. I assume that's talking about the Snapmaker U1. Exoplanet needs a greenhouse expansion, just saying. Well, I don't disagree. We just, yeah, I don't know. I can imagine there being new areas for Exoplanet. And, like, I know Kathy's doing Outbound Station in Trenches. And actually, quite soon she'll be doing the medical wing, which I'll probably be, doing a bit of promo for on here in the coming weeks. But I kind of feel at the end of the day, the whole great thing about the GridForge system is you can just mix and match the tiles. So if you wanted to do, for example, Exoplanet Colony on a jungle planet, then yeah, using Blasted's jungle stuff could replace, that sort of arid environment we did for Exoplanet Colony. Great for sort of like a Predator style sort of campaign, right? And then of course you could mix it up by just changing the colors of the foliage to make it look more exotic. Like if you wanted it to look more alien, you could just do them with, orange stems and purple leaves or something like that, Let's see, Doug's, they're still talking about printers. I think until multicolor printers / heads are more common, I'll stick to separate push fit and manual swap changes at least for now. I mean, that is probably the broadest compatibility for sure. And I do like having some push together things like these walls here are printed separately, and you sort of slide them in, and that's kind of like a time-saving exercise. So it's great to see other people doing it as well. Yeah, you got to always find the balance, don't you? All right. Kathy's project goes live on the 17th. Awesome. I can share that out a bit more next week. And yeah, if you haven't joined our Discord community already, link should be below. We've had a great surge of activity recently. Lots of awesome custom builds, especially of the Benno Wharf and the Sköldpadda. And yeah, I reckon it's worth checking out. We have this awesome sort of forum style gallery of finished ships. I find it really inspirational. You guys can get ideas for custom jobs you want to do, and you can see some custom layouts of those ships if you're looking for ideas about how you might be able to customize them for yourself and your own builds. Anyway, guys, I am out of batteries, so I will hopefully be back next week. Although, if I am being perfectly honest, this year I'm not going to aim for 50 plus episodes. I'm honestly going to maybe aim for fortnightly. But I'll probably be back next week just by virtue of the fact that I haven't done it for a while, and I kind of feel like, I've got to get back into the swing of things. So, guys, thank you for joining me. Check out Blasted's campaign once again. And keep a lookout for Second Dynasty Day on the 22nd, when we have a huge 50% off one-day flash sale. Of course, if you're a Tribes member, you get that 50% off all month long. Anyway, guys, thank you for coming. It's great to see you again, and I will be back in the near future. Cheerio!
Bye!